Hello, viewers, once again, and welcome back to episode 5 of The Social Point. I'm Nero.
I'm Linus.
And I'm Aden. Now, let's get into today's topics, which is cyberbullying. So, first, let's just go forth and understand more about cyberbullying at its very core. So, cyberbullying is defined as acts of hostile intent, or hence the word bullying, and this takes place over the cyber world and the digital space. So, let's begin by asking you guys, have any of you experienced cyberbullying, witnessed it, or conducted it yourself, maybe?
Huh, Twitter. That's like half of Twitter. Like honestly,
Yeah.
you go into like any sort of like mildly controversial like Twitter thread, and you scroll down to the comments, and it's just all mean comments and the occasional death threat.
Oh man. I
Yeah,
think I mean, to be fair, I've seen that a lot, especially in the heated political climate we are now. Well, it's not just Twitter, there's Facebook, Instagram, all those vaccine hoax stuff, but that
Reddit.
tried. Oh man, don't even remind me of that.
Yeah,
Reddit,
Reddit. Yeah,
YouTube
it's the
comments.
worst.
Like when a YouTuber gets political and stuff, sometimes they get into major drama, I guess you could say, and
Oh
lots
yeah,
of
they
their
get
fans
blamed.
just cyberbully them, and then the supporters cyberbully them back. So it's just like a whole mixed up
Oh yeah.
situation, I guess you could say.
So,
hmm
but then why do you think people do? Why do you think cyberbullying really exists? Well,
I think at its core, like um, I think cyberbullying is general. It can be worse than like actual real life bullying, mainly because whatever you say like on the internet, you have a sense of anonymity. So like people don't know like your identity is kept anonymous. So people think that like whatever like toxic things that they say, they can like get away with it. So they conduct themselves in a way in which they wouldn't conduct themselves in real life just because they're facing a screen instead of another person.
oh, so so having an anonymous stance can help with asserting power. Then, is that what you're trying to say, or?
It more of like protects them behind a mask, so like they feel like they don't have to be held accountable for like whatever they say, which
Oh,
is not
so
true, but it gives them that kind of feeling.
I see. Nirav, what do you think?
Um, I mean, if you're gonna ask that question about cyberbullying, you'd also have to really ask that question about bullying, because like cyberbullying is just a form of bullying in which you can do it over the internet from wherever and anywhere. Like it's easier, I guess you could say, because like Linus said, you can hide behind the screen anonymously, which might be why it's um more used way of bullying. But yeah,
Oh, because you
And
mentioned about bringing this back to normal bullying, which I agree, since cyberbullying is a form of bullying end of the day. And the way I see it, people use it as a way just to be to for attention and stay popular. In some schools, in the most generic stereotypical American high school movie or whatnot, you have the like the cool kids who are the bullies. They want to be like the popular ones. They act all edgy and
yeah,
yeah. Do you think it's something like that?
I think that
um,
influences some people because like some kids they may see these movies and be like, oh, to be cool, I have to bully like the non-cool kids and stuff like that.
Hmm. But then it's also a way of coping with like low. Some people don't have a very high self esteem, so this is like their way of taking advantage of others. But since these movies are stereotypes, and at the end of the day, in some way or another, are they trying to spread a false message, or is it just for the sake of entertainment? Because the intention is quite difficult to unpack.
I think the original intention is for the sake of entertainment, but it does in intent unintentionally lead to an influence to the younger audience.
Oh. Because for me, it's a bit shocking. Because I was looking at some statistics, and it says 43% of teens have been victims of cyberbullying in the past year, and 15% of parents they know about like the child's social networking presence, and only 7% are worried about cyberbullying, which it seems like a really low amount, especially given the effects of cyberbullying and just bullying in general. You can suffer from, I don't know, suicidal thoughts, depression, social anxiety. It's just
yeah,
is social media overly toxic now?
definitely, yeah. I feel like when it comes to cyberbullying and social media, the thing is, um, one person usually can't do much, but internet like and social media give a place where like-minded individuals can come together. So the normal amount of like toxicity and trash that they say can be multiplied just because more of the same kind of edgy kids who are looking for attention can come together and cyberbully this one individual or like one group of individuals.
Mm. Like I also saw that apparently it says girls are more likely to be targeted, and I find it really sad just because like in the previous podcast we talked about like gender equality, how like
Yeah.
sometimes the girls and women are treated different, and just that fact, just imagining that thought, that the increased risk of there's a lot of risky blackmail kind of thing that happens on the internet, doxing people, like threatening them
Yeah,
with their
that.
nudes, pedophilia. It's just worrying, really. But these like, and then you
And
see that these corporations, Twitter, Facebook, they say they're doing something, but are they actually doing something, or are they just not doing enough to combat it?
I don't. I think they do like the bare minimum to stay in mainstream media because like as I said, you go to like a Twitter thread or like a Reddit thread, and it's it's a cesspool. It's unbearable, honestly. You could like do all you want to try to report these comments. They usually get removed after like 2 days, and like after people have like liked it hundreds of thousands of times. Same with Reddit, but Reddit they just don't remove it at all. People they can just keep the awards and upvotes.
I think it's mostly because like there's not enough like moderators on these websites to remove, because there's tons of negative comments, and you can't exactly just block words, because then that's going to delete most even positive comments to the creator, right? So it's just a
Hmm.
hard way for the moderators to take action, because there's so little of them, but so many negative comments. Like one person could post 100 negative comments in a day, right? But while moderators, I mean, they just don't have enough, I guess.
But now that leads to my next
Yeah.
question, since we're talking about social media and people managing this, just how difficult is it to combat this kind of cyberbullying and cybercrime, since it all falls under that same window?
I would say it's really hard because the thing about being online is that you can ban them, but they can just create another account and keep talking the trash. It's extremely hard to like silence them, and you can't really like reason with these people. A lot of the times, they they don't do it like they know it hurts people. They know what they're doing isn't right, but they're just doing it to boost their low self esteem. There's really nothing you can do except for ignoring these people. At least in my experience, like I've been in like voice chats with like in like gaming groups and they are a cesspool. I have been in like a Call of Duty voice chat before and I never want to go in there again. And like you can't argue with these people. They cannot be reasoned with. They're like animals.
Can't reason as in they refuse to change their mind, or ignorant
You
kind,
can
or
try to prevent like you can try to present like facts and like make actual arguments with them, but they're not there to listen. They're not there to like actually like exchange anything that is productive. They're just there to insult you. That's all they want to do. They're
so it's
here to
kind of like
insult you. You
taking
can
the piss out of others then.
yeah, you can like have the most well thought out, well structured argument of all time. They won't care. They're not listening to it. They're just there to insult you.
They'll just hit you with a grammar typo every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the grammar typo. It's like an auto L.
Hmm.
Yeah, no. The internet has just become such a toxic place, mainly because people just feel like they can do whatever the hell they want.
But is policing the internet really a solution though? Because people when they post, let's say, oh, they promote just the really bad things like terrorism, some race supremacy, or like you anti-Semitic
Just the
posts, and then you
regular stuff
see,
they post on that one message board we all know.
oh yeah, it could be illegal for all we
Yeah.
know. But then the issue is just how ethical is it? Because different countries have different laws in places, and then you have and the police intervene on the internet, do you think it's unethical, or do you think there is somewhat of a justification for it? Because it's very controversial.
It's extremely hard to police the internet, and we all know this because, like, for example, someone from Canada is cyberbullying someone in the United States. Like, okay, so which of these countries' laws are does like uh, the person who's cyberbullying others, like what laws does he follow, and like what protections does the victim get, and like once you start getting across these borders, because the internet essentially erases these borders, and so it becomes very difficult to like actually police these things. I mean, if like these two countries have like the same law about the same thing, it's easy, but oftentimes it's really not. I think there was once like there was like someone from China doxed this American user. Now in America, doxing is illegal and the
Mm-hmm.
FBI can catch you, but because this user was in China, the FBI really couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't go to China to arrest this man, and the Chinese like police really didn't do anything about it because I'm not a lawyer, but I think he used some kind of like loophole in the law to like get away with it.
Ah. No, that's like one thing I think is interesting because the people always talk about freedom of speech. I understand that that's definitely important to a civil society of some sort, of having that idea of personal expression, but I think people still also need to remember that freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence.
Hmm.
So it's, to be fair, it's a complicated legal and ethical matter. But then, looking at all this cyberbullying and cybercrime, how can we stay safe on the internet, and how can we like educate educate a wider audience on this?
From my This is from my own experience, so it might not be like the best advice in the world, but this is what like I do. The best way to do like to go about this is just to ignore these people. It's just like because all they want is like they want to trigger you. They want to piss you off. If you don't get the reaction, like you don't if you don't give them the reaction they're looking for, they're gonna get bored. Eventually, gonna get bored and move on. If you try to argue with them, that's exactly what they want.
I think most schools they focus their arguments on like bullying in general. Like our school, luckily we were able to get an idea of cyberbullying, but most they just focus it on bullying, like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But even then, there are always those kids that just don't listen. Like, I don't think there's really a way to solve cyberbullying. Even like, yeah, maybe these talks can influence some kids to not to take part in this, but there's always
Oh.
going to be someone that does, even though they get the talks multiple times and stuff.
Oh yeah, because I think like prevent like I don't believe that you can stop bullying in his tracks 100%, but like just help to prevent it and lower down that kind of risk. And it starts out with education and respect, because when you instill empathy and like the empowerment of respecting good choices with others, it encourages others to do the same. Like the society is very bitter right now. Politics is getting more polarizing than ever. Health is becoming in the realm of politics. Everything becomes into politics and ethics, and it's just a huge
Yeah,
mess. So
and
I've
like it. Yeah, and like incels on every message board right now, so like they have low self esteem. They're out to get you. Like you can't really. It's hard to escape it. They're everywhere, and they're looking for any opportunity to trigger.
Oh yeah. And since we're just about out of time for today, is there anything else you guys want to say?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
All right, then. So I guess that's all for today. So once again, thank you everyone for tuning into episode 5 of the Social Point, and of course, just and since this is going up after Easter, for everyone who did celebrate, happy Easter, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. So goodbye.
So yeah.
Goodbye. See ya.